Action.
Okay. Could you tell me, Philippe, a little bit about, and maybe when you answer, if you see the camera, talk to Burley.
Indeed.
A little bit about the 1953 victory you had in Marguerite Long. Now, this is a long time ago, and competitions are very different today.
Yes, I think at the time it was very few competitions in the world. In fact, it was only 4 major ones: the Moscow, the Queen Elizabeth in Belgium, and the Warsaw competition, the Chopin competition, and the Marguerite Long Jacques Thibault competition. And in my opinion, I was very young at the time, and I have such vivid memories of it. Sometimes when I have dreams of that competition, even today. Sometimes nightmares do, because it was really very nerve-wracking for me. Maybe I am too sensitive to sustain the pressure of a competition. And but I must say that was a good thing for me, very, very good thing for me. And when you won one, don't try to win another one. That for sure.
Well, what was it that would create, what stands out if you wake up in the middle of the night with a cold sweat and you think of yourself performing in that competition? Was it the pressure?
But it was really such an extraordinary event. Music competition at the time in Europe, they were almost like a sport event. The newspaper were all over on the newspaper, much more than today. The exposure was terrific. I remember very, very much after winning the prize. People were very happy. People were very unhappy. I had a letter from somebody that it would be an attempt to kill me. It's nice for a young kid who was only 17 or 18 years old. It was very tough. Of course, one of the big rewards was to play the winner concert, and guess who was the conductor? It was Charles Munch. That was not bad.
Well, why this? A letter came, a death threat?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Why was that?
I think just about a sort of a. It was so. It was the first time, the Russians came to compete. And that for me was a big handicap at the time, because politics were playing a lot of role, and for the native son to win, but I think that was really something extraordinary for me. I was sure I was not going to make it.
The jury, is there anyone who you remember from the jury?
Yes, and I remember especially somebody who has been extremely supportive in that competition. And I will never forget, because he became a very good friend. It was Arthur Rubinstein. I know that Emil Gilels was also there. It was a very prestigious jury, that I must say.
Do you think then that the artist in a situation like this, you come out on the stage, are you performing for the jury, or I would assume in the Marguerite Long, like many of today's competitions, there's also a public audience? For the audience, or is it something else?
I think it's very, very difficult to dissociate. In the back of your mind, you know very well that you are playing for the jury. We are all human, and as human we are error prone, and it was a time that making a wrong note was so devastating. It was a time when everybody was asking really for the cleanest playing as possible. That I am sure it was taking some age and on the quality of the performance as far as the artistry.
So you think today, or between 1953 and now, conceptions have changed, for example, in terms of what the jury is looking for? If in 1953 they were looking for note perfect, as you say, clean readings, was there ever a time that a jury was looking for
To,
something.
to tell you the truth, I have seen in competition really extraordinary talent being totally destroyed by nerves, and also by just having a bad moment and having all the notes coming down and then and gone. You know, it's a very cruel process, and I think we have it's more human today. And I think the fierce competition between artists, between young artists at the time, was tremendous, much more than today.
But so you're saying that.
It's more friendship today, I think.
But can the artists be more themselves, and can personality come through? Or are they still hung up on the fact that one or two wrong notes might eliminate their possibilities, no matter what the talent is?
The thing, you have to compose yourself. And I know a lot of people, just after having a little mishap like that, just it goes, they goes to pieces.
So they can, you think today, take some chances and not necessarily get so focused on technique and.
Yes, you know, everything depends on the attitude of the member of the jury too. When I am a part of the a member of a jury, and I am really looking for the artistic side more than anything else, and I am looking to the one that I know inside myself that is going to make it, because it's wonderful to win a competition, but this is only the beginning.
Well, can you maybe tell us a little bit, when you say you're looking for the artistic side, that's very broad. What are some of the qualities that, for example, if you're on a jury, that you look for in the artist?
I am looking, you know, when you're in a jury and you hear so many pianists, one after another, I am always interested by the one who is waking me up. It's as simple as that. You know, the one who put myself in the edge of the seat, the one that I'm interested, because by the one who has something to say, by an interpretation was not going to be mine, because but somebody who plays something differently that I think, but it's so valid that my interest is there, and I am really looking for people who have something to say.
And you're not looking so much for technique?
Listen, if you don't have a good technique, you don't have the tools to project the quality of your interpretation. I think the greatest achievement is to make the people forget that you have a great technique. They just to project music, your own interpretation, and to please people.
Mm-hmm. So all of the variety of these different qualities that could make for a competition winner, are they the same qualities that make for a successful performer in the sense of the public?
Yes, absolutely.
So then your advice to a young artist going to a competition today would be what?
You know, it's only one winner, and sometimes two or three. You know, I think in some competition today, the first prize and the second prize and the third prize are helped tremendously, and that's good. But you know, it's so many who try would have really no chance whatsoever to make it.
When you won in 1953, what was the prize?
Oh, the prize was money.
A lot.
Not that much. No. Not at the time. You know, I think the prize, the money prize, has gone up in the competition like it went in the golf circuit. But no, it was more sort of prestige affair than anything else, and I think I won the possibility of playing with a Paris orchestra. It was a recording attached to it, but the recording company has never honored the commitment. I'm sorry to say, and that's all. And in a way, it's sad because I think this is what I like about a competition like the Van Cliburn, is that not only you win the prize, of course, but after that, the help is tremendous for years to come, you know, to help really develop a career. And this is what, you know, in my opinion, it will be perfectly all right not to have any money, but to have the possibility to be heard after that, to have to make an agreement with big orchestras and recitals, and this is the right thing to do, in my opinion.
You know, some of the winners from the Cliburn that I've talked to say the same thing, that next year or two is a phenomenal way to get started, because
Yes.
the bookings are that they play with international orchestras, they have a Carnegie debut, but their problem is...
This is to continue after.
They say the first year is great, the second year is wonderful. The problem comes in the third year when there are no more bookings.
Yes, but you have to have the right stuff to survive those 2 years.
But it's automatic. I mean, even if someone falters, it's an automatic booking already there. So now the question is, what makes the conductors invite you back? What makes the audience want to hear you some more?
This is one thing that cannot be explained. This is the way you project. This is the way you play, of course. This is the way you have people who are magnificent artists, but if you don't project, it's terrible. It's a very cruel world, very cruel. I feel very sorry for a lot of young artists, because I know how much they put in their dream, because it's a dream, but the chance of fulfilling that dream is so slim.
You know, I read your interview you did with David Dubal a few years ago. You said a young artist coming out of a conservatory today has a better chance of becoming president of the United States than becoming a concert artist.
Exactly.
So, but then all the conservatories are turning out hundreds and hundreds and more each year.
There's too many pianists and not enough strings player. That's my opinion. And it's an explanation for that. The piano is, you can produce a nice sound in a hurry, and it's not the case with a violin. It takes some time before it starts to be enjoyable. And it's the easy way for kids, you know, to start music. And the piano is a very attractive instrument too. And I wish we had more strings player.
I had a few other questions about the young artists today, because this is of real interest to us, since we'll be filming so many of them in Texas and learning about their hopes and dreams, and seeing only they had 210 entrants this year, so 1 out of 210 will win. But
that's it.
But you mentioned one thing I just wanted to get back to. You said, you know, you talked about creating projecting, and this sort of very hard to describe thing that makes for the successful performance. Can you try to describe what is it maybe that you as an artist feel creates a communication or a fever?
Yes, I have to be very personal on that. One thing is that I like to be on stage. I like to share with people. Of course, I like to play for myself very much, but it's nothing I enjoy more than to be on stage and playing for an audience. As I said, I like to share the joy that I feel, and it's very clear for me that I never feel better than when I am on stage, even if I am sick, not feeling well, and the 2 hours I am on stage, this is a sort of redemption for me. And it's great. It's not. I am not making any effort going on stage. That's a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, and many artists don't almost dread the idea of being on stage. They're at home all the time.
That doesn't mean I don't feel the pinch. I have fears like everybody else. At some time, extraordinary, in an extraordinary way, but in the same time, I am subject to stage fright. That's no doubt. Before a concert, I'm a wreck. But I have decided a long time ago that stage fright is my friend. If I don't feel that, I know that's something wrong. I need it. I need it. I need to be totally destroyed before going on stage. And then as soon as it starts to clear up. This is exactly the right word. It clear up. Like somebody who has a bad cold, and finally put something in his nose and breathe. This is exactly my feeling. I am miserable before a concert.
But then the audience senses how much you're enjoying.
Oh yes, I think so. You cannot help. The communication between an audience and the artist is tremendous, and I am very sensitive too to the quality of the audience. And I can hear people listening. This is one of the most fascinating and the most exciting thing. It's wonderful because you said I am there. I am pleasing myself. I try to do the best I can, and I share that enjoyment with others. That's tremendous.
It was like last night in Carnegie. I guess in one of the movements in the Britain, which is not a well-known piece, I guess here.
Not at all. Yeah.
There was almost a gasp at the beginning of one of the movements. I forgot which one because it was so different. It sounded so different. The whole Carnegie audience, you could hear them.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It was very fascinating. It was a good audience, by the way, and the way they listened was incredible. They were just they were with us. We were like one.
Let me bring that back to competitions a little bit. If the communication between the artist and the audience, the chemistry is so important to you, what happens for the artist now in a competition where they're not, it's almost irrelevant what the audience thinks because the audience isn't voting for them, only the 12 or 20 jurors are voting for them.
I know. I think it would be good sometime to have a prize, a special prize decided by the public too. They do that in film festivals. Why not for music competition?
But
I won't be adverse to that at all.
And do you think the jury in any way is affected by the audience reaction? Or would they be reacting differently than the average person in the audience? Do they look for something that's maybe more technical? I've seen jury members not watching the pianist but only following the score during the complete competition.
I agree with you. You have bad juries too. That for sure. And like we are all human. We start again. People are reacting differently in a jury, very, very much so. I have seen miles apart between two artists who were absolutely very honest with themselves. Some are not, but at least most of them are.
So then, as an artist coming to the competition, how much of yourself do you present to the jury? Your inner self. Do you let all of this come out for the jury? I mean, is it a good idea to do? Would you recommend to a young artist?
If I have a recommendation to make, judging by my own experience, I will not make that competition the ultimate goal of my life. I will do exactly what I will do if I was going to play a regular concert. Just to erase from my mind that is a first prize, a second prize, a third prize, or no prize at all. Just to do what I can do the best and to forget about it. I think this is the only way to project well.
Okay, can we take a break for just 1 minute? Okay, now Philippe, just to finish up a little bit on this idea of the younger generation and how they play.
Move just a tape.
This way. You told David, I don't need to quote you on some other interview because you could have changed your mind entirely, but you said that many young people today, maybe a majority, you said it's almost like General Motors. They're more interested in the product than the music. Explain a little bit about how you feel on that.
Yes, it's what I call the Hilton cuisine, or the it looks good, it's good, but it doesn't go further than that. Aseptic is the word. And I'd like, as I said before, I like artists who have something to say, who are not afraid of taking chances. And it's wonderful to have the courage and the vision of going for it, and not this kind of careful playing, that kind of a well packaged, and that will never go far.
Well, you know, you look at the last Van Cliburn, Torazzi, I think, came in second, and Jose Fagali won, because he was more note perfect, a little less personality, and everybody thought Torazzi was the one who, as you say, went for it, just opened up and was himself, but he didn't win, he came in second. So how does the artist deal with it? If you want to win, can you also be yourself?
Yes, you put me in a bad spot there, but but anyway, that can be a very dangerous thing to do in competition, because you're taking the risk of maybe offending by doing that some of the members of the jury, because some, I know, don't have the vision that I'm talking about. And then it takes somebody who really is going to do the same thing to judge favorably this kind of thing.
And let me ask you about one more problem that you pointed out that young people have. You talked of someone who came to you, a student, and said, I like Brendel's movement of
yes,
this,
that's
and
right.
Weissenberg on this. And
that's right.
And I see this in Juilliard all the time. They begin to pick up bits and pieces of things from other artists.
That was a young lady who asked to play for me, very clean, very perfect, but I had absolutely no sense of unity at all. I was extremely disturbed, because and I said, I asked her, but how do you envision the piece you are playing? What is your own idea? And she said, I have no idea. I said, how come? I said, no, because I am very young. I still have to develop. That's a bad sign. And she said, when I practice a piece, I buy all the recordings are in the market, and I listen to it, and I choose what I like best from everybody. The worst thing that can happen is like imitating a camera, or this is the negation of the interpretative process. It's just awful.
But you see this with many young
When I work on a piece for the first time, I never listen to what others do. I am my own man, definitely. You have to be.
But why do you think, I don't know whether you know, why would so many young people have less confidence today?
I think it will be always the same number of people who have the right stuff. Let's put it that way. And this is the minimal difference between the great artist and the near great artist, and that will always be the case. As well as somebody play, if he doesn't have that edge, we are in trouble.
Let me ask you just a little bit about practicing. You walk through Juilliard, and all day, all night, they're all up there in the rooms with the pianos practicing, maybe 8, 10, some of them even 12 hours a day. I know. 12 hours a day. 7
What a life. What a life. I have never done that. I think I was one of the most miserable students at the Paris Conservatoire. And when I got my first prize at the Paris Conservatoire, I said I will never put a foot in this house again. And today, I am true to my word. I've never been back to the Paris Conservatoire since I got my first prize there in 1950. No, you have people who have to work more than others. I think this, if I take my own case, I don't think this is the number of hours that I spend at the instrument. I am blessed with the fact that I don't need really any warm-up to play. That's a big plus. But I think if you are really working with the right kind of concentration, you don't need that many those many hours. That look at the pianist that I admire immensely is Daniel Barenboim. I don't think Danny has ever worked more than 1 hour or 2 hours a day.
How many hours do you work at a day, on an average?
Two, but I think a lot.
Let's conclude a little bit on Alfred Cortot, because maybe if today you're one of the, or if not the most respected French artist today, certainly in his day, he was the most renowned French pianist, maybe ever.
Indeed.
What in those days? What made him so popular?
You know, I was a student of Marguerite Long. And Marguerite Long and Cortot were not getting along at all. And she always tried to prevent her student to have any contact whatsoever with Cortot. But I sneak once, and because I have always have a tremendous admiration for Cortot. When I discovered for the first time, the very old recording of Cortot playing all the Chopin etudes. And that just was for me a revelation. It was so tremendous. I don't care if it was one note drop there and there and there, but the whole thing was so exhilarating. That was an immense talent. Immense talent.
And the stereotype of the French artist is sometimes very elegant and suave, and he wasn't.
No, he was really what I call we have a wrong picture about piano playing from France. I think over the years it was always pianists who were really capable of playing not only French music but other music too. Definitely.
You said of Cortot that even his mistakes were fabulous.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point, because we talked earlier about
absolutely grandiose, wonderful. The wrong note, but the wrong note sounds good. I am not suggesting that we have to do the same thing, but the spontaneity, the daring of that man was absolutely superb. And let me tell you, he was capable of playing very well too. I have heard recording of Liszt rhapsodies that defy anybody to play as well.
But so many people are very overwhelmed by some of the early recordings. What has maybe we can conclude on this? What has changed so much in music from the turn of the century and when recordings first came out by 1910, 1915, 1920? They still stand up today as the things that people learn from and always come back to. What has something changed in music so much that we don't?
I think the approach to recordings has changed a lot. And it was take it or leave it at the time. It was not possible to place anything. It was not possible to. Sometimes we are doing recordings not by note to the head. I just hate that. I think the best recording we have are really what we call live performances. I wish it would be more of that. Because just imagine when you're listening to a recording today, that sounds extremely well, it sounds coherent, but just think it has been spliced and spliced and spliced and spliced.
So there's more spontaneity and life in that?
Definitely.
And what about the audiences in those days? Was it a different attitude? Was it a more receptive audience?
They were coughing as much. No. I think audiences are very good, and this is one of the plus of the recording industry. It has really built the knowledge of an audience very, very much everywhere. You know, you can find a good audience now not only in New York but but in small places. I think the universality of music has grown extraordinary in the last decades.
So you think that it's just as healthy now for the serious musician as in the time of Cortot and the other?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think the audience are bigger, and I wish the system of education would be better everywhere. That music will be more a part of the education system that it is now. Not to produce any performing artist, but to educate people to like music. That I think we have to do more about that.
But there still is this fascination with the earlier performances. And why?
I think artists at that time also were a little bit different that the way we are today. I think artists today are much more are closer to their audience that artists were in the past. You know, they were sort of mythic people. It was a sort of aura around. I think the days of the Paderewski are gone. That for sure. That for sure. Now you have recordings. We are in the street. We walk in the street. You know. I think it's a sort of demystification of the artist that it certainly has put us more closer to the public than it was at the time.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think we covered a lot of different things, which are very helpful to us.
My English is still as bad as ever.
No, I think it's very clear, you know.